I know that at this point, what I'm going to say next isn't exactly a perspective changing hot take, but it bears repeating. Say what you will about Sega's business practices in the 90s, but it's a fact that their consoles were home to a ton of cult classics that absolutely deserve more love and appreciation from the wider gaming audience. For those of you familiar with what I do around here, you've seen my videos covering games like Nights into Dreams and Burning Rangers. Two truly unique games not just for their time, but even in today's modern gaming landscape. On top of their unique gameplay elements, these games are genuinely great to play. That brings me to another classic Sega IP, with a unique look and gameplay elements that sparked an undying fandom that's going strong 25 plus years later. A game that blends a colorful style with grit and grind. This was Sega's appeal to the counterculture of the late 90s and early 2000s. This game is
JET SET RADIOOO!
JET SET RADIOOO was developed by Smilebit. Headed by Masayoshi Kikuchi as director and Ryuta Ueda as head artist, the team was inspired by games like Parappa the Rapper and the Western appeal of the Sonic franchise. Apparently, the movie Fight Club was also a big inspiration due to its themes, which is super interesting to me considering how different JET SET RADIOOO is in terms of its genre and presentation. Along with particular inspiration from 90s Japanese culture and 80s American culture, seen with the designs of the police in Shibuya, the designs of the numerous street gangs, and the iconic graffiti tagging gameplay, JET SET RADIOOO is the result of combining multiple cultures and time periods together to create a classic. I want to dive into how this classic infuses all of these things together into a game that's considered one of the best of all time. Despite the numerous points of inspiration baked into this game's DNA, the story of JET SET RADIOOO is fairly simple. You're introduced to the city of Tokyoto with three distinct districts named Benten-cho, Shibuya-cho, and Kugane-cho. Each district is home to three different street gangs utilizing high-tech inline skates to roam the city, engaging each other through non-violent confrontations, while tagging each district with their own unique graffiti designs. Fueling the culture through non-stop hardcore punk rock and hip-hop music is the titular pirate radio station JET SET RADIOOO, hosted by the iconic DJ Professor K. While Professor K plays the tunes, he also delivers news and rumors of the happenings in the underground world of Tokyoto. Street punks unaffiliated with any gang are simply known as rudies. Some of you may be aware of the term as its derivative from the term rude boys, which originates from Jamaican culture. It's cool to see this terminology pop up in a game like JET SET RADIOOO. The Rudies use graffiti as a form of self-expression, which once again reflects the real-life uses of graffiti in predominantly black communities at the onset of hip-hop culture in the late 70s. I love that graffiti as an art form isn't demonized to the player in this narrative. It's never delegitimized as an art form, paying respects to its real-life inspiration and culture while tying it into the game's anti-establishment themes. It's cool, it's hip, it's radical. It's other words that make me sound like an old head despite the fact that I won't be 30 for another 5 years. The villains of the story are the cops, backed by the sinister financial conglomerate, the Rokaku Group, headed by Goji Rokaku. The commentary on how police only exist to serve and protect the rich class is something this game does very well. The escalation of violence that police inflict on the street gangs, compared to the street gangs themselves dealing with each other through non-violent means, really gets the point across without ever outright telling you what's happening. You will feel the onslaught as cops rain down bullets, ballistics, explosives, and straight up just run you over as you try to tag the town. These motherfuckers even send out tanks at some point, and when I first saw this I said, this is a little ridiculous, isn't it? But then I recall real life incidents of the government using law enforcement and even military on their own people. I think about all that and then I go, nah, this game is underselling them if anything. The women's group known as the Love Shockers, who are feuding with you over territory in Shibuya, the Noise Tanks in Benton, and the Poison Jam group in Kogane. To my understanding, this game's story plays out differently depending on where you decide to go first after the Love Shockers level. Since I left Kogane for last, when Poison Jam are defeated, one of them is kidnapped by a mysterious group that we later find out are the Golden Rhinos, the assassin group under the control of the Rokaku group, who are after the fragments of a vinyl record that Professor K calls the Devil's Contract. After the end of Chapter 1, Chapter 2 focuses on Combo and Cube from Grind City, which is based on New York. Cube and Combo come to Tokyoto after encountering the Rokaku group in Grind City, who are after the Devil's Contract record owned by Coin, a friend of Combo and Cube. Coin ends up diving too deep into the rabbit hole surrounding the vinyl record, eventually being kidnapped and implied to have been killed by the Rokaku group. In Chapter 3, it's revealed that Goji wants to use the record to take over the world. The GG take on the Rokaku group, and in a nice bit of environmental storytelling, the cops are nowhere to be seen, apparently being too scared to stop the Rokaku after failing to stop the street punks, which only further illustrates how cops don't give a shit about public safety. Because of this, the streets are barren compared to before Chapter 3, as people have elected to stay inside rather than risking death at the hands of Goji's group. Beat and the gang eventually stopped Goji from using the record by destroying his turntable, which I thought was a hilarious contradiction in his character. He just looks so fucking goofy here, driven mad by his wealth and continuous greed. This ends up killing Goji as he falls off the roof of the building. In the aftermath, his son takes over and it's revealed that the Devil's contract was all just one giant hoax, a mere rumor that Goji's madness had latched onto. Professor K's monologue at the end is really cool. A nice wrap-up of the adventure the GGs went on in order to protect the city they call home, a place where they can all continue to try and make something out of the lives they lead. I liked K's question at the end, but how can anyone know the real truth behind it all? I don't have a neat thesis to present to you all right now about objective truth versus subjective truths, but life is complicated. Outside of the objective truths, the rest is up for interpretation. It really made me think, even as I'm recording here. I still am thinking about that as life continues to throw shit my way. I can only do my best to make sense of the world as it is and move accordingly. Look at this game, making me think as if I had just gotten a prompt in a college writing class.
Look at us. Hey, look at us.
Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought?
Not me.
To put it simply, I like Jet Set Radio's story a lot. I love a simple narrative that has so many elements left for you to explore without ever having to be told by the story itself. It encourages agency, the willingness to think beyond what's presented, and I like that this game made me do that. For those of you who already know me, I love making a big stake about how Sonic fans should really sit down and properly look at the stories in the games and comics. I'll never not encourage someone to look deeper into a story if they express interest. All it does is create a deeper connection to the art you're consuming. Speaking of art, my only gripe is that none of the characters themselves ever really get much of anything. But this is where the gameplay comes in, as their personalities shine through the art of gameplay. Much like the story, the gameplay of Jet Set Radio isn't complex. You get your pick of the litter here, with many playable characters being unlocked as you progress through the game and obtain certain ranks. Beat, Mew, Slate, Gum, Piranha, Garum, Yo-Yo, Tab, Cube, and Combo. Oh, and apparently this dog you can see next to Beat and Combo is a playable character named Potts. Potts can be unlocked by getting the highest rank on story chapter levels. Then in a new playthrough, defeat Poison Jam before the noise tanks, which lets them kidnap Potts, who you then rescue. I had no idea about this until I went to the JSR wiki after completing the game. I like it when games give you a reason to replay them outside of bragging rights about your ranks. A new playable character, a difference in story progression, these are good incentives outside of the general fun to be had while playing the game. The controls are simple. Classic press A to jump. You can accelerate in short bursts by holding the right trigger. In each area there are tons of spray cans to collect. There are also these symbols to collect that give you more graffiti tag options to customize at the GG base. When near a spot that can be tagged, an icon appears above the player's head. These spots are indicated by red arrows showing previously tagged spots by other gangs, and green arrows indicating fresh spots. The green tags are optional. Once this happens, press the left trigger to spray the area. Some places to tag are bigger than others. Some require a simple button press, while larger areas require an entire sequence of chaining together joystick movements as they appear on the screen. This is where your stats come in. Each character has 3 stats. Power, which influences health, technique, which influences the quick time events when spray tagging, and graffiti, which influences the amount of cans characters can hold, I think. I'll be honest, outside of technique and power, graffiti doesn't really seem to be all that useful. Power is good for when you get tired of the police and Rokaku group attacking you while spray tagging and you just decide to tank the damage as you spray away. Spray can capacity really isn't the problem unless you're awful at the quick time events. I wish that there were more complex stats like certain characters having a higher vertical when jumping, speed differences, wall ride duration, etc. It's mostly aesthetics and seen when doing tricks from rail grinding. Rail grinding is one of the main modes of getting around in this game. Rail grinding is good, but what I don't like is the stiffness you have to fight against. Find yourself going too slow on a rail and want to jump off? Good luck with that. Your best bet is hopping forward until you're at the end of the rail. You can't jump off the side of the rail if you're moving slowly. Only when you come to a complete stop does the character fall off. Most times, it's like you're locked onto the rail, and that can really mess up your movement flow. Jumping off of a rail to chain onto another one can be tricky. It feels like it's nearly impossible in some areas, especially if you're moving too quickly. It's easy to overshoot and undershoot rails. The camera definitely doesn't help. It's fixed when you're not actively using the R stick to look around. Implementing something like the camera panning to an angle slightly above the character to give players a better gauge of distance and positioning when grinding off a rail or edge to another would have been great. This town square area in Benton is a bit frustrating to play because of this camera positioning. When you're able to chain moves together though, this game is a blast. Chaining a wall ride into a rail grind, jumping, seeing the unique character tricks as you're skating through half pipes, grinding along an edge, rail, or flipping around at high speeds. The appeal of the series is seen right here, having the time of your life mapping out paths to grind and trick through as you explore the different parts of Tokyoto. There are multiple ways to get to multiple areas in this game. The exploration aspect is the best thing about it. I haven't really talked about the open world aspect of Jet Set Radio, but it's notable for being one of the first 3D games to do this. I like how the game tackles it, putting you in 3 different areas of the level in story mode and then showing you how each part of the level connects when you do the rival showdown races. As I just mentioned, each area has 3 levels. 2 for when you're tagging in different parts of the city while avoiding the cops. The rival gangs don't pose any threat. I mentioned before that the cops in Rokaku will try to stop you from tagging once they're close enough to attack and grab onto you, and I find that to be annoying, but not entirely in the way that the developers probably intended. Sometimes when I'm tagging, I randomly be hit by bombs when no one else is around. I know that cops are setting them off, but I don't like that it seems to happen every time regardless of if I'm in police sightlines or not. In order to avoid this, prioritizing which tags you do first is essential. Doing the large tags first, leaving the smaller ones for easy cleanup to get through the stage faster is optimal, as you have to deal with less chances of being attacked once you've completed all the larger tags early. Some levels have it so that the larger tags are on the ground, and the rest are in areas where the enemies can't reach you, so naturally going after the ones on the street level before ascending to highways and rooftops is the play. There is no right way to play this game though, so if you're a maniac who likes getting chased by cops while doing the large tags that take a million years to complete, be my guest. After completing the 2 tagging missions, the 3rd and final mission of each area sees you chase down 3 members of each rival gang and spray tag their backs 10 times like you're in the NWO. These can last several minutes or barely just a few if you get good positioning and become familiar with the rival gang's pathing. I originally wasn't that much of a fan of these missions, but I found myself enjoying the chase. This stage format only really applies to Chapter 1. Chapter 2 sees you skating around Grind City, and Chapter 3 follows the same flow as Chapter 2, but with the Goji boss fight at the end. I was completely taken aback by the final boss. It was very Nights at the Dreams Burning Rangers build. A confined space, a slightly trippy background, fairly easy objective to complete. It was certainly a trip. There are a bunch of side missions that almost act like free roaming. You can race through the levels against crewmates, do a skills challenge, or complete all red tags in the area within the given time. It's really nice not having to deal with enemies in these side missions. Being able to roam Benton Cho at my leisure was an incredible experience. Real turn your brain off and have fun vibes from these side missions. You can also replay the story at your own leisure. You aren't locked out into doing any of the side missions if you play the story levels again. The gameplay in Jet Set Radio, while a little clunky, is tons of fun. I can see myself coming back to this game every once in a while just to chill out and soak in the vibes of a bygone era. The music and general aesthetics of this game are fantastic. Aside from a few select tracks from underground rock and hip hop artists like Jurassic 5, we get music from esteemed video game composers such as Hideki Naganuma, Richard Jacques, and Tomonori Sawada, all who some of you may recognize as composers for Sonic games including Sonic R, Sonic Rush, and the Sonic Riders games. Strange coincidence. Alongside these 3 wonderful composers, we get a healthy helping of songs from underground artists such as Vader Guitar, who provides songs like the parody of Super Mario titled Super Brothers. Hearing this in the sewer level while facing Poison Jam was a funny wink and nod. Songs like Dragula from Rob Zombie appear too, which took me completely by surprise. I haven't heard Dragula since I was a kid. We also get music from Deavid Soul, my personal favorite being Yappy Feet. I love that this soundtrack touches many different subgenres. Obviously hip hop and punk rock are all over this soundtrack, but we get some post-grunge, a splashing of house, and beat break music as well. The music in this game is full of cool voice samples used to really instill the youthful punk rock vibes. The Viva la Revolution voice sample from Rocket On, well, that entire song in general is probably my favorite in the entire game. Its obvious similarities to the music in the first level of Sonic Rush totally played a factor in that. Miller Ball Breakers from Deavid Soul, Everybody Jump Around by Richard, and Sneak Man from Hideki are all some of my absolute favorite tracks in this game. Special mention to Humming the Bass Line. I found myself dancing a little as that song played on the character select scene numerous times. This whole soundtrack is rich and full of energy. Shit that's meant to get you grooving, and it does an excellent job at that. This is one of the very best soundtracks in all of video game history. I haven't even talked about how stylish this game looks on top of its stylish music. There's something about these late 90s, early 2000s Sega games. These are some of the best looking games I've ever seen, and Jet Set Radio is no exception. I love how vibrant this game looks. Benton's beautifully illuminated roads and alleyways, Shibuya's hustle and bustle feel in a big town, Kagane's run-down industrial setting, all very distinct levels taking place at different times of the day. These levels are very bright despite the evolving danger of the police force and Rokaku group hounding you as you progress through the story. Things never look bleak. The world is colorful, which probably alludes to themes of youthful exuberance, giving young people a brighter outlook on life, especially as they find meaning using art to express themselves. What I found interesting about the GDs compared to every other group is that they maintain their individuality, rather than conforming to an aesthetic. It speaks to the importance of self-expression, but also finding value in everyone's unique styles and finding a way to embrace all of that under one banner. Some of my favorite character designs are Beat, Gum, Mew, Yo-Yo, Cube, and Piranha. Ryuta Ueda created a sick looking cast of characters here. I also found Onishima's design to be hilarious due to how overly repulsive he looks. The graffiti art also looks very good here. You can customize your art loadout for tagging, or design your own, which further drives home the theme of self-expression. I haven't collected all of the graffiti tags around Tokyoto and Grind City, but the ones I do have are incredible works of art. And maybe I'll come back one day and 100% this game just to see all the sick looking graffiti tags I have at my disposal. This game's presentation is on another level. It's one of the most visually distinct games I've played in a long time. I personally believe Jet Set Radio is a certified classic video game. It rightfully holds claim to being one of the best games of all time. From its vibrant graphics, funky and gritty soundtrack, fun story, and even more fun gameplay, it all ties together well, creating a game that allows players to live out a fantasy of youthful rebellion and walk away with an experience that will, if nothing else, definitely leave its mark on you. I get why people wanted me to play this game for so long. That's all I got for this one. If you have any other thoughts about Jet Set Radio, feel free to share them in the comments below. Shout out to you for watching, and shout out to DJ Professor K's voice actor Billy Brown for his awesome voice acting. I really enjoyed listening to Professor K's narration of events, and I just wanted to show some appreciation before the video ends. If you liked this video, check out the other Sega classics I've reviewed on the channel, as well as the copious amount of Sonic the Hedgehog content. Enjoy your stay. I'm out.